Hello, everybody, and welcome to KC Blitz. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ned Reynolds.
I'm Art Haynes, and we're here to talk Kansas City Chiefs in under 10 minutes. Well, the Chiefs won against the Los Angeles Chargers Monday in Mexico City. It was not without a struggle, but they got it done.
Interesting ball game because the turf probably played a bit of a role in it. Art, in my opinion, it is the definition, you could look it up in Webster's, of winning ugly. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the Chiefs won with their defense, which we made the point on the post game that if you'd been told before the game they're going to score 24, you'd have thought, well, they're going to lose. But they held the Chargers to 17. I think there were several factors involved. One, you got to give the Chargers defense some credit. They were the 6th rated defense in the league. The field conditions that you suggest, I think, and everybody talked nice about it afterwards, nicely, but they were making nice and wanting not to be the ugly Americans. But you could see the big hunks of turf being ripped up whenever somebody tried to make a cut. So that limited both teams, I think, from what they could do. And then the altitude, I think, was a factor. Very different. The Chargers went out to Colorado and spent a week acclimating themselves to 5,000 feet. This was 7,300. The Chiefs went in just like a normal game the day before, and I think both teams were a little bit gassed. So Andy Reid may have decided that his best strategy down the stretch was just to play it conservative with the lead. It almost bit him, but then you got the Phillip Rivers factor. And he'll always throw you the ball if you give him a chance to, and he did it 4 times.
4 times, including one with about 15, 17 seconds remaining in the game. You make reference to the turf. Very first play of the game, Rivers hit a wide receiver on a little cut pattern, and he tackled, of course, went down, and when he got up, there was a big clod of turf on his face mask.
Yeah.
Now, this is not good at all. So obviously it was very soft. Let's talk a little bit about the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs and the disruption that KC can do with Clark and with Jones. Do you think that perhaps that took Rivers out of his pattern?
I think so. And I mean, the Chargers were down 2 starting offensive linemen. And I mean, the Chiefs don't feel sorry. They've been down plenty of players and got 3 more injured in this game. But Frank Clark was really disruptive. I mean, he stuffed the stat sheet with 3 quarterback hits and a sack and a tackle for loss. He really was a difference maker in the game, and this is what they had in mind when they went to great lengths to get him from Seattle.
I think the fact that you saw Mahomes throw for, 188 yards, and Rivers is up around 352, you look at the stat sheet, well, there's no way the Chiefs win this game. I think, though, Kansas City's diversification of their offense I played a big role. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it was the opposite of the game before, in which the Chiefs statistically dominated Tennessee and held Ryan Tannehill to under 200 yards passing, but they lost the game. And this way, it was the other way around. Not one of Mahomes' better games, but again, it was, I think, a conservative bit of play calling to kind of sit on the lead. And that last time, like I say, everybody had visions of last year's game with the Chargers at Arrowhead in December, where Chiefs are ahead the whole game, Chargers drive the length of the field, score, get a 2-point conversion and win, and you could see the same thing coming. But Daniel Sorensen put a stop to that.
He did, with a tremendous interception in the end zone, going very high in the air after the Chargers had just completed a 45 or 50 yard pass in which their receiver, Mike Williams, went way up into the air to make a circus catch.
The Chiefs' defensive backs made it tough on the Chargers, and Mike Williams is really good, and so is Keenan Allen. And Williams made a couple of great plays. I mean, he's tall, and he can leap, and he can high point the ball, as they say, and he's bigger than most of the defensive backs. But Charvarius Ward really coming on now, and I remember he had such a rough beginning when the Chiefs got him late last season. But they saw something there in him, and he's becoming their best cover defensive back.
Kansas City wins the game by a score of 24-17 in a dandy. Let's take a look at some of the stats because they are particularly revealing in yet an opposite or a paradoxical sense. Arthur?
Well, and there you see 438 yards for the Chargers, 310 for the Chiefs. There was a lot of negativity the day after the game on Kansas City sports radio about, well, they won the game, but They really didn't look like an elite team. And you'd be right about that. The expectations are through the roof now based on what Mahomes and the team did last year, but it was a workmanlike win, and you'd rather have that than a dominating loss like they had the week before against the Titans.
And who would have thought that you would see the Chiefs out-rushing the Chargers 130-93?
Yeah, exactly. They did a good job on Melvin Gordon after a while. He had some good runs in the first half. They got that shut down in the second half. And, of course, Damian Williams went out with an injury. But what was really good to see when the Chiefs marched down the field through the air, they got to the 14-yard line, LaShawn McCoy 8 yards, and then Darrell Williams blasted in from 6. I mean, and that's what you like to see out of a football team, be able to line up and run the ball, and they did.
Coming up next, and it'll be after the bye week, well, the Chiefs will play the Oakland Raiders. And the Raiders are legitimate this year. They and the Chiefs are battling for first place. Talk a little bit about them and what they present. Kansas City's already beaten them once this year.
Well, and they're a lot better than they were when the Chiefs first played them. The rookie Josh Jacobs has been among the top runners in the league. He's the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So again, you've got a team that has run first. But Derek Carr seems to be playing at the highest level that he has. You got to give John Gruden some credit for that and his ability to coach up Derek Carr. So they've got some good weapons, but the Chiefs have had their number and that of the entire AFC West division. All three of whom they've now beaten away from Arrowhead, and all three of whom now still have to come to Kansas City in December.
And that game will be the 1st of December. All right, there's a bye week coming up, but hey, that doesn't give Larry Nemmers any vacation at all. He's with us to talk a little bit about the rules of the game. Well, as advertised, the White Hat is with us, Larry Nemmers, who is 17 years heading his crew in the NFL. Larry, let's talk about an incident that has gained a lot of unfortunate notoriety for the NFL, and that was a circumstance last Sunday in Pittsburgh and the Cleveland Browns toward the end of the game, helmet swinging incident involving Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. Here's a situation, and the helmet is off right here. Now, the question is this: what is the referee's protocol when something like this happens?
Well, the referee is right here.
Yeah.
And when something like this happens, he'll try to break it up immediately, but then when it escalates to this, he steps back and takes numbers. The rest of the crew come in, break it up, do the best that they can. We haven't heard the end of this because, Myles is suspended the rest of the year.
Right.
I would be surprised if it's not into next year or more. And the money involved, I have no idea.
But it is up to the referee's crew to come in and try and separate these guys.
Yes. And, the replay official, too, because, when you're breaking things up, you don't see stuff going on around you and stuff. And that's why the replay official is so important, too. He can tell you, hey, look at number 87. 87 just pushed somebody down or whatever. So he's getting the whole thing up in the press box. And he can come down to the referee and say, look, here's who we ought to kick out of the game. Although the referee knows who's going.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, Marquise Pouncey then comes to the aid of Mason Rudolph after they get Garrett off of him and on the ground, and Pouncey's kicking him.
Yeah.
And, from just a visceral standpoint, can't blame him. I mean, this guy's trying to assault my quarterback. I'm going to get back at him.
And if you look at his original actions, he's punching him like this with a fist with a helmet on. Well, that's not real smart. That's why I think he stepped back and started using his foot a little bit. And that's what got him in trouble. Yeah.
Let's go to the next scene, and this will be an actual infraction of the game itself. And this one's called on the Chargers, and it is hands to the face. It's pretty evident what's
Yeah, hands to the face is an unusual penalty because if it happens on the offense, which this is, it's a 10-yard penalty. If it happens on the defense, if this defender was pushing the offense's thing back, it's a 5-yard penalty.
This actually is a Chiefs offensive player.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the defensive player.
Right.
So that's a 5-yard penalty, but an automatic first down.
And what happened, this saved the Chiefs a negative play, and they got the first down out of it.
Yeah, and you have to be able to see it because if the fingers get in here, now it's a different story.
Yeah.
It's a face mask penalty. But usually on offense, you're taught to hold in here and push in here, And if it gets up into the, sometimes it's not on purpose. Your hand just slips up there into the face, but then you kind of keep it up there and jerk the head back.
Let's real quickly, it is running. Let's take a quick look at the other one because it's an interference call, and I want you to explain just a little bit about why interference exists. All he did was brush his arm.
They're coached to do that. Okay. The ball, obviously, you can see his eyes. The ball is coming in here. If I can make this hand come up a second and a half later than the one I'm trying to catch the ball with, it's like trying to catch the ball with one hand. And they're coached to do that.
Clock it here.
It's overtime. Get out of here, man.
Well, the Chiefs knock off the Chargers, and the Raiders are coming up next.
And that'll be a lot of fun, but we will see you next right here as you take a look at the conference standings. As of this week, Kansas City, Oakland, that all could change during the bye week, and we will find out. We will be back on the web during the bye week, and we'll have an interesting little show for you. Meantime, go Chiefs.